Beneath deserts, jungles, and ocean floors lie the forgotten footprints of entire civilizations. Places where people built cities, wrote languages, worshipped gods, and created systems more complex than we ever imagined, only to vanish, sometimes without a trace. We're taught to remember the Romans, the Greeks, and the Egyptians. But for every civilization we know, there are dozens more that barely survived in memory, erased by time, climate, conquest, or silence. In this documentary, we uncover 7 civilizations you've probably never heard of. They lived across Asia, Africa, Europe, and the Americas, thriving, adapting, and building legacies that continue to influence the world today. As we rediscover these lost worlds, you'll see that human history is not a straight line of progress, but a tapestry of cultures, each thread briefly shining before fading into the unknown. The Indus Valley civilization, often associated with Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, was far more expansive than most people realize. Recent digs at Rakhigarhi, Dholavira, and Lothal in modern-day India show a network of dozens of cities built with advanced drainage systems, granaries, and standardized architecture. What's truly mysterious, despite their sophistication, they left no decipherable written record. The Indus script found on seals and pottery remains unreadable to this day. No kings, no wars, no temples, just evidence of urban planning, social equality, and long-distance trade. These cities likely thrived peacefully for centuries, but by 1900 BCE, many were abandoned, possibly due to climate shifts, river drying, or tectonic changes. To this day, we're still piecing together who they were and how they quietly reshaped the history of South Asia. In central Mexico, beyond the famous Maya and Aztec, lived the Olmeca Xicalonca. Active between 300 and 900 CE, they built cities like Cacaxtla and left behind striking murals that still survive. Unlike their predecessors, the classic Olmecs, these people focused on art, astronomy, and merchant power. Their vivid wall paintings show warriors and gods in battle, serpents in the sky, and symbols of celestial movements. Their disappearance wasn't dramatic. Trade routes shifted, new powers rose, but their cultural imprint survived, influencing the Toltecs and the Aztecs, who absorbed some of their gods, customs, and city designs. Long before the Inca, the highlands of Peru were ruled by the Wari, masters of administration and planning. Between 600 and 1100 CE, they created urban networks connected by roads with storehouses, courts, and farming systems. Cities like Wari and Piquillacta weren't just settlements, they were strategic hubs designed to manage crops, culture, and control. Unlike empires that celebrated military conquests or kings, the Wari focused on efficiency. Their pottery was standardized, their textiles geometrically symbolic, their food systems centrally managed. Or fell, probably due to drought or political collapse, they left behind no dramatic ruins or oral legends, just layers of infrastructure that the Inca would later adopt and expand. In the forests and savannas of West Africa, the Nok culture emerged over 2,500 years ago in what is now Nigeria. They are best known for their terracotta sculptures, stylized, expressive, and eerily modern in form. These artworks, humans with elaborate hairstyles and abstract features, predate most other African civilizations. But the Nok were more than artists. They smelted iron, farmed millet, and developed a socially complex society that vanished around 300 CE. We still don't know what language they spoke or why they disappeared, but their rediscovery has challenged old stereotypes about Africa's past, proving that sophisticated cultures thrived in sub-Saharan Africa long before colonial contact. Before Rome became an empire, central Italy was ruled by the Etruscans, a league of independent cities that shared language, religion, and a love for ornate tombs. They built roads, aqueducts, temples, and cities that Rome would later copy. Their art, filled with banquets, chariots, and gods, celebrated life and death equally. But their language was not Indo-European, and much of their writing remains untranslated. Romans eventually absorbed them, but not before borrowing their religious symbols, architecture, and even rituals of state power. Etruscan culture, though forgotten by name, lives on every time someone walks under a Roman arch or reads a Latin calendar. South of Egypt, along the Nile, the kingdom of Kush ruled for nearly 1,000 years. They built pyramids, developed iron tools, and even conquered Egypt during the 25th dynasty. The Kushites built their capital at Meroe, where they developed their own script, fashion, and religious systems, mixing Egyptian gods with African traditions. Women often held positions of power, and the Kandake queens ruled armies and courts. When trade routes shifted and Rome pushed south, Kush began to decline. By the 4th century CE, the kingdom faded, and its writing system, the Meroic script, remains only partially decoded. Today, their pyramids still stand, smaller but more numerous than those in Egypt, silent monuments to a civilization history books often skip. The Zhou dynasty is known for its early kings, but hidden within it were regional lords who developed their own kingdoms, each with unique governance, rituals, and city planning. Between 1046 BCE and 256 BCE, these sub-states, like Qi, Chu, and Wu, developed philosophies, writing styles, and economies before being swallowed by imperial China. Many of these cities were independent for centuries, contributing to Confucianism, Taoism, and military innovations. They left behind bronze relics, city walls, and written records, some still being translated. Because later dynasties centralized history, many of these kingdoms were written out, remembered only as feudal lords, but in truth, they were vibrant civilizations in their own right. Across every continent, civilizations rose, created calendars, healed the sick, built temples, and traded ideas. Some were absorbed, others collapsed, many were forgotten. We remember the loudest voices, the conquerors, the stone builders, but beneath them lies a deeper layer of history, whispered through ruins, pottery, murals, and myths. By uncovering these stories, we don't just learn about the past, we correct it. Because humanity's legacy isn't made of a few great names. It's built from millions of lives, thousands of cultures, and hundreds of civilizations lost, but not gone. Now you know their names.